Well, hello everyone. Welcome to season 27 of SPNHL Talk. I'm your host Cuban, doing a little different format, doing solo tonight. I'm going to leave it up to viewers and anyone else that wants to message in any questions during the show. I'm definitely going to be looking at taking any of those as we get going here. You know what I mean? We got a lot to review. I have been away for a few weeks, getting everything ready. We had the Calder Cup. We had, the crowning of our champions over there, Chicago. Now moved to Arizona, new GMs, everything. So, we got some stuff to go over, and for us, we know we want to keep it going. We want to get you guys caught up on what's going on. So, here we are. Welcome to season 27, everybody, and going into this season, we changed things up and we went with a format of, the Calder Cup for the rookies. So right off the get, we got the Calder Cup stuff to go over. We added some new GMs. So with that, let's review a little bit what we got going on. A few teams moved. And so we got, in the Eastern Conference, Pistol Pete comes back to Boston. Dirty Tricks comes back, but he takes his team from Ottawa and moves him over to Carolina. Then we have Cuban moving from New Jersey to Philadelphia. And then we have True Legend, new GM. He's coming in and took New Jersey. Jay Scott stayed on board at Montreal, but moved them to Pittsburgh. Mansell stayed on and moved from Toronto to Tampa. Polar then moved from Pittsburgh to Toronto. And Shepard took Dallas and moved them to the East Coast and took over Washington. So that's the Eastern Conference breakdown of the new GMs and what we got going on. And then new GMs being True Legend over on the Western side. Anaheim, Reaper stayed on board. The champs moved from Chicago to Arizona. So their jerseys will match in their playoff run, hopefully to defend their cup, and 5.0 stayed there. We got Eggman over in Colorado. Then we got a new GM, actually new GM this season, but not a new GM to the league, TT Tommy Boy. Tommy takes over LA. El Rookie comes back to St. Louis. Cosmo moves from New York Rangers over to the West Coast to San Jose. Sports Geeks with Vancouver. And we have new GM Serge stepped down. RIP, buddy. You will be missed. And has broken up with Plisk. Hopefully the curse will not be on Plisk. It'll go with Serge to the grave. And Red Concept stepped up and took over that roster. And that's where we're at with that. And then this season, we had some voting and we had some stuff that we opened up to do with a players association and a disciplinary committee. And we had voting on the nominees, and here is your player association. The head of the association is Kid Money. His board consists of Reaper and Ayachoku, and those guys will take care of any concerns that players have with what's going on with them. If they're not getting playing time, if they haven't been messaged, or if they're being told stuff and they're not quite sure. Reach out to one of these three guys, Kid, Reaper, and Ayachoku. If you have a question on some rules, reach out to these guys. Maybe they can clear something up, or you've got an idea. These guys are here for the players. They're here for you guys. Any concerns that you have, just reach out to them. Send them a message on Skype. Send them a message on Messenger. Mention them in a chat box, and someone will reach out to them. Like, these guys are here to take any of your questions, help you out, and then be the voice for the players in the league. So stuff can that you think can be better, voice it. These guys will bring it up upon their meetings, and then let the commish know, and maybe you'll start seeing some changes that you guys are talking about wanting to do. On the other side of that, we have the disciplinary committee headed by Cosmo, and on his board is Dirty Tricks and Bipolar. So when there's something that goes on, if there's some sort of foolery, second account stuff, or forfeit stuff, or anything that's kind of against the rules of SP that needs a ruling, these guys will get together, they'll talk about it and come up with suspensions and bans and all that stuff, and then take that upon Plisk, and they'll sit there and they'll go over their stuff and and get everything on an up and up, where it isn't just one guy making a decision, it's a group of guys talking about it, and then they'll come up with their verdict. And I think that's that's a little bit long overdue, in my opinion. It gives Plisk a little bit of a alleviation of pressure of always having to take the brunt of his decisions. This way there's some other guys that have different opinions and different ideas, and they all can come up with a singular punishment for whatever it is that needs to be done. Hopefully they won't be having to get used this season, but my gut tells me they're going to have to be making some pretty hefty rulings, if you know what I mean. So that's where we're at right now, guys. As I said, opening show, we did the Calder Cup before the draft, and it gave an opportunity for some rookies to showcase themselves and to get things going when most guys may not have known who they were or anything like that. And it keeps them, or not keeps, but gives them an opportunity to do something and show themselves and make themselves, available during, well, not available during, but available to the league and to GMs to see stuff that's, not always available to these GMs. And I think it did a great job. I think a few rookies got out there. It also gave GMs an opportunity to see who's active and who's not, because that's always been an issue with GMs is we draft blindly sometimes, and we end up getting a guy who really isn't active like they said they were. And all of a sudden, here we could have used the pick on someone else that was a rookie that is available. And actually, it helped out a lot of the GM, because everyone right now, no one's really complaining about inactivity on the rosters or anything against their rosters with their players. So good job to the rookies that participated. Obviously, if you did not participate, you were removed from the draft board, and then you were placed back on if you replied to Plisk, letting him know that you were active, just not given the opportunity per se to play. I think it worked out well for everyone in the league, and it gave these guys that did play the chance to get drafted over guys that didn't play. And now we're at the point of, we got some active players, and if we still got free agents, and these rookies that didn't play were put back on the free agency for ECU purposes, not to be picked back up. And let me bring up the draft board here, and we're gonna work our way in the draft board now, because these rookies work their magic. I'm gonna screen share for you guys. A little screen share. And we're gonna drop this down, and we'll hide that. And here we are. Got the live chat. So you see right there, if you guys got anything to say, just go ahead, ask me a question. I'll go ahead and answer it. You can Skype me, message me on PSN. So first round, obviously we had LA, made some moves, had his roster, and he takes red flag. Pittsburgh comes in with the number 2 pick, takes Burst. Those two very strong players, top 2 on the boards. Obviously, them going 1-2, not much of a surprise to anybody. The St. Louis Blues, a rookie takes a rookie, Knowles 28-28. Don't really know much about Knowles. I think that's kind of high for a pick, but I mean, El Rookie's a veteran GM. He's pretty much had his entire roster pretty much filled. And at this point, with a high pick like that, take the guy that you want. Doesn't matter if people care or don't. I mean, his roster is pretty much set anyway, so why not go ahead and take that? So that's what he did. And then you got Vegas and Red Concept. He didn't waste any time. He picks up offense, picks up Rich 2K8. Could have been Tyler Seguin. Didn't want that. Wanted Rich. Went and got Rich. Then you got True Legend, rookie GM, takes rookie Vish B. Followed by Shep and his Washington guys, and the Caps wasted no time. Needed a goalie, takes the best available goalie on the board, and you can't see me. And then Polar with Toronto grabs up Lindy at number 7. I think that's a great pick there for Polar and his squad. And then we got Boston, and Pistol picks up Vesna, aka right now iHyper. And then you got Tricks, pretty much has MG Tread himself, MJ, and moves right in and grabs Stoner, who is going to be playing net for him. He's also, I know, a very capable forward if need be, so that's a great, addition. And then you got San Jose picks up Soko, who I had the pleasure of playing with in the Calder Cup a few games. Very solid defenseman. And then Cornette signed up as a goalie, but I don't see Shep using him as goalie. He's pretty much going to be his left wing. So he picks up You Can't See Me for net, picks up Cornette there. So Washington looking pretty good in the first round with their first 2 picks. Very solid, in my opinion. And then you got Colorado. Had his team pretty much almost drafted himself, picks up Gui. And then you got Arizona. The Champs had some great picks, and this is one of them, Jedi, during the rookie showcase over the week that we had, put up some impressive numbers. And then Reaper wasted no time, looking at the best left wing from last season on the board, still at number 14, and grabs him right up. And then myself in Philly, I pretty much had my whole roster kind of set, and went left wing there as well, and picked up Hardy, who was still on the board for me. And then Cosmo rounds it out with Benner at the 16th pick to go along with Soko at 10. So in the first round, outside of a rookie who pretty much had his whole team pretty much drafted, these are all solid first round pick guys. No surprise, Cosmo taking a rookie with one of his picks. He's done that in the past. He always has an upper edge at times with guys, and he drafts other league players and scouts very, very well. So impressive first round. Let's go down here into the second round before we do a little bit of a roster breakdown. San Jose follows that up with M Club, bringing back a guy from last season for him. Philadelphia picks up Visual Skills, needs a solid goalie, takes the next best available one on the board. Anaheim, obviously, now that the offense is set, needed another defenseman to go with Doug. Wastes no time and picks up Mike. LA goes back-to-back defensemen, wasted no times, picks up Guns and picks up Bergies to follow up their red pick. So right now he's, got a nice little defensive setup there. Mansell picks up Peacekeeper. Washington follows it up by taking Philly's MVP. Carolina then picks up another defenseman in Scales Yanks. Boston follows that up with You Make a Mistake. And then Toronto picks up You Wanna Be Me, which I was still surprised was still on the board that late. Great pick by Toronto. Washington then grabs Mr. Penguin. New Jersey follows up their Vish with Noel, which is another great solid pick for him for rookie GM. Grabbing Noel late like that, that's a good snag. And then you got Toronto going with Monaco. Vegas picking up from the rookie showcase, played very, very well execution. Pittsburgh picks up veteran defenseman Snake Plissken. And then Colorado says, hey, why not? My roster's kind of done. I'm staring at Sedin, a.k.a. Niner, on the board, still at 16 at the end of the second round. Yeah, he's got a little hefty price tag this season, but I'll go ahead and take him and let him play some center for me. So with that being said, those are the first 2 rounds of the draft. Obviously, we're going to look at rosters here real quick, breaking it down. Red Concept, of course, owns Vegas. Had Pliskin re-signed, Right Power re-signed, Rocket, and Prodigy 2 Legend, excuse me. Drafts Rich and Executioner. Picks up rookie Mud Ninja. Then he goes Mike the Neff, Ronnie Hextall, and Randy Marsh. Got 4.5 million left. We will go over transactions because, again, after the draft, things got, SP style trade happy. Reaper's got 10 on his roster himself, Kid and Doug. Drafts Tyler and Mike, as we seen. Goes West Side Hockey. And then he goes KC, then he goes Meister, then he goes Diggs, and then he goes Castle to round out his roster. Nice little mix of vets and rooks in there. And we'll see how that plays out for Reaper. The champs are in the house. 5 goes with Stud, Fish, Chow, Tree, trades for at ease, and then drafts Jedi, gets Muff late, which how people let Muff stay on the board that late is beyond me. Then follows that up with Barnacle Sam. How does he even fall in the draft? GMs are slipping. Then you got new 360 guy, new guy to round out his roster. Solid team. Definitely one to watch for. Then we got Pistol Pete. Pistol comes in, keeps Dodge, which was, a major sign when you get a good defenseman, you keep him. And Dodge is very, very good. 3.5 for him is a steal. The guy should be at least worth $6 million. Hopefully his salary gets up, Pete. So you got to be screwed next season for re-signs. We got Joja, and then you got Shanasta, Shane. And then of course, we went Hyper and Mecha. Me sick on his picks. And then he follows that up with Top Goalie. And then Now You're Dead, Steezy, and the Appler, which Appler fell way down. Maybe Appler's little persona sometimes kind of hurt him there a little bit, but Pete's not afraid. Seen him one of the best offensive players in the league up on the board still for $4 million at the end of the draft. And he went to go right ahead and grab them up, sitting on 11 mil. Oh, sorry, everybody. Sitting on 11 million. He's got a little cap to spend, so he went and spent it. And then we got Polar in Toronto here, rolling with 11 guys on his roster. Obviously, re-signed Red, had the rights to goalie, drafts Lindy and You Want to Be Me and Monaco. Follows that up with Smoke Show Joe, Rob, Dragon, Nemesis, and Jaleel. It's a very, very solid start for that roster. And he's made a few moves there himself, and we'll go over that because he solidified that team a little bit better, adding on a few guys that we will touch on shortly. LA, TT Tommy had some great re-signs, trades them all the way for picks, and then comes in with Rick Rage before the draft, drafts Red Flag, picks up the 2 defensemen in Guns and Bergies, picks up Hockey Girl, then goes Primetime Fresh, and then goes PNC, great goalie, adds one of the best defensemen late, mind you, in Slim, picks up Pem, and then adds Arrow Hunter to round that out. The defenseman there, you got Guns, who is listed as lefty. I've played with him last year. Great defenseman, could only play left side, can't play the right. And then you got Slim, who has right side refused. So, I mean, you got 2 top D guys that play the same side and the other one can't. So Bergies is listed as left and is going to have to play right. I don't know who else on there would play the right side outside of Tommy himself. So he's going to have to manage either getting Guns to switch, which good luck with that. And or hopefully, Bergies can handle the right side himself and keep the rotation of Guns and Slim going back and forth. So hopefully he'll figure that all out. But that roster is very, very solid. I'm interested to see how Red does with Tommy and Hockey in Primetime and Arrow. The goalie play, Pem is solid. Loved him during the rookie showcase. PNC, I've always adored him in net. He's a pain in the ass when I go against him. Would love to have him on my roster one day, but that'll never happen because no one will let me get you. And then we have Pittsburgh, Jay Scott with Dead Rising, Tar Pit, T-Bod, Evil Monkey. Pretty much set going into the draft and takes Burst and then gets Snake. Literally rounding out that roster, adds Dr. Wally, who I've heard is an amazing D guy. So even on top of Burst and Snake, adds another solid defenseman. Big AJ, Puck Zone, Math, and King to round out the rest of his roster. Jay Scott always builds these amazing teams. I'm curious to see how he does with this one now that it's his. He's not adopting a another roster from another GM. It's literally something that's his, and I'm excited to see what he can do with that. Tricks went crazy with some crazy trades. Traded King Lee Me for some first and second rounders, and then trades those first and second rounders for MJ and MG to go along with his re-signs of Tread and Free. And that is going to be sick. That roster right there alone was scary. Add Stoner to play net. It's got Scales, JB, So Icy to back up Stoner, who's a solid goalie himself, played for me last season. And then rounds out with Ruggles. I'm curious to see how he plays out in that, because I know MJ and MG, when available, will play every single time they can play, in my opinion. Trix has got himself a deadly roster, definitely a team to watch. And then we got Philadelphia. I've re-signed Iachoku, Wally, and Trout. Went right after Hardy. After that, went visual skills, and then just looked for offense at this point. Quincy, added Bundy, picked up Kev. I know he listed as a center, but he's really going to play some net for me. And then took Flynn with my last pick. His availability is kind of hard right now. He just started a new job for me, or started a new job. So for me, he won't be able to play right away, but definitely communicating with us and keeping us in the loop. Look forward to having him get on the ice with us. And then we have True Legend here in New Jersey, 11 guys, a lot of rookies on his team. First time GM. I was curious to see how he would draft. He re-signed Murphy, and then of course trades for Vince, and then adds Vish, adds Noel, German Gretzky, Magic Mikey. I know that's his buddy. Picks up a familiar name from the past on Kane from Canada. Solid defenseman. Picks up Chicks and Whips, who can play net as well. Adds Way to Goal, who is also a defenseman at times if need be. And then he's got IMC to round out that roster. Definitely has guys listed as one thing, but can play, like Noel can play a solid net. I know Magic Mike can play some solid net. I know Chicks and Whips can play net. I know Way to Goal can play some defense. Noel can play some solid defense. I heard Vish plays great defense. So he's got himself a good mix of guys. If he gets his line situated soon, he's going to be a dangerous team to watch. So good job, True, on your first try there, bud. Got a lot of cap left. Don't be afraid to make moves early. Then we got Kaz coming off that last season. Had full metal after all the trading he did. Picked up these picks and didn't waste any time. Again, adding Soko, getting Benner, getting M Club back. Then he drafts Breezy, who's playing specifically just net, nothing else. So that'll give Cosmo a breather from time to time. And from what I hear, he's probably going to be playing some defense. And then he has Notorious, Red Pepsi, adds Dynasty late, which I can't believe he's still there. Add Broad T, still late. Added Ush, late. Unreal, these names that are still late in the draft. And then picks up Royalty Caper, family member of Loyalty Caper. And then we got Tampa, Mansell with Jamie and Buds, Grip, trades for Hold, Nocturnal Turtle, Sullivan. Then he goes Peacekeeper, picks up Trick, Balls Deep, who played on my roster, played very well. Picks up Playmaker, who plays an amazing net and can play a little bit of forward when needed, and adds Pool Magician. For Mansell, it's just figuring out how to put these guys all on lines together and getting that chemistry growing right away. But it shouldn't be much of an issue when you got Jamie and Buds and Grip, and you got Hold and Net. So I'm sure Mansell's figuring this out, and he's going to have himself a nice little roster. Vancouver and Sports Geek. This is for Sports Geek's first venture without True and Red. So what's he do? He trades away his draft for Kingsley May, who's an amazing winger. Then after that, he gets Udia like FUQT, Beer and Pickles, picks up Von Deuce, solid in net, then adds Beastie, who is on the board. You got to pick him up. Then he has Loyalty, and then he goes Turd. JRG picks up Raj, Jack of all trades, late. Unreal that he was still on the board. And then M Perch. So he's got himself a nice little mix. He just needs to figure out how to get these guys all working together soon after having that offensive powerhouse in True and Red to carry you for as much as you did. Now let's see what you can do when you're out there on your own. And I think he did nice trading for Kingley. I don't know if I would have traded a first and a second for him, but I mean, Sports was desperate at that point, I assume, and did what he thought was what's best for him, and took the guy that he wanted, regardless of what it cost. And he still put himself together a nice little roster there. Unfortunately, Beastie's got the availability thing, but I mean, even if he gets him to play 3, that's 3 solid nights of a guy playing center and right wing for you. And he's got himself Raj there too, and Turd. So let's see how you do there, Sports. Good luck, buddy. El Rookie learned from last season and didn't draft the entire board. Left himself a little bit of room for rosters and not having guys begging him to cut guys so they can pick them up. Kept Dead Ant, Navy, Ajax, B Marsh, Chula, PGH, gets Seeds, and then drafts Knowles and my good buddy Snatch to play right D for him. Nice little roster. Obviously, again, we'll go over transactions. There's some moves made there. And that roster is a little bit different than what it is. And rounding out the rest of the draft, we got Shepard in his Washington Caps, has Addy, had Francie, picks up Cornet, picks up Can't See Me, Phil's MVP and Penguin, TikTok, adds Cap late, which I debated on drafting Cap late, but just didn't work. And then you had Cinch and Trouble Kid, which was still on the board late. And that rounds out the rest of the draft of everybody's roster going into this season. I think everyone did really good. I mean, there's still some solid players left on the board. I do know Dirty Dietrich ended up getting picked up. Someone else got picked up. You still got, 3 solid goalies. McKinnison is $8 million. I know that's kind of scary. Haven't seen him play net. And you got JDK sitting out there. Duge is still sitting out there. Cracker, Corn, Jay Philly. You got Cookie Man, Rambo, G1, Nutty, Duckweed, Babe Stokes, Dan Johnson. Tyler is God got picked up. Giroux's still out there. Hockey Gamer, Blazing Hippie, DeFracies. I mean, you got some solid names still out there, so I'm sure there's going to be some movement come week 1 when everything's said and done. Obviously, I'm excited to see how this all works out. Let's go ahead and take a look at transactions for everybody. And there's some of the trades that went through, and then we have the trade right here. You have Toronto preseason trades, but this is all draft stuff. And right after the draft, we have Toronto trades Nemesis and Monaco to St. Louis for AJ and Seed. So AJ and Seed moved from St. Louis over to Toronto, which is huge. That's 2 solid defensemen for Polar to go along with what he already had, giving up Nemesis and Monaco, who Monaco's pretty solid too. I mean, it's just a swap, in my opinion. A little bit of an upgrade for Toronto, knowing that Seed and Ajax kind of fit their mold a little bit better from what I think El Rookie wanted to do. And then you have Boston trading Stizzy to Anaheim for Diggs. And then you got Vegas trading Mud Ninja for Castle. And then we had St. Louis signing up Vape Stokes and Mike Long. Tampa Bay signing up Pooler and Dirty Dietrich. Boston, with that cap, picks up Tyler. And then Washington trades Addy over to Boston for Appler. So you got Appler and Tyler now together over, or no, Boston's leaving. He's leaving Boston, going to Washington. So he's going over to Shep. Shep's adding a little firepower over there with Cornet. So interesting move so far going into the season. And going into the season now, we're literally a day away from this puck dropping. And we had some articles, one from Mr. Fish and one from Mr. Seeds. Both great reads. I know people were critical of both articles. I enjoyed them both. I thought they both had great insight. Agreed with both of them and disagreed with both of them at the same time, but I loved it. It was really good to just have someone else writing something better than nothing. No one's writing nothing. Am I not online? Are you guys all mad at me? So I used what they did in my preseason rankings. So I know everyone loves Cuban's preseason rankings. So here we go. Get ready. We're going to open this up. And here we go, right? So right now, let's see if I blow this up. Get everyone whoa, Cuban. Slow the roll. Let's go one more. And then we'll kick this up. All right. So from Fish's article, from what I gathered, because Seed did his with a ranking, but Fish kind of laid his out on how he thought each team was going to do. I took that, calculated it, and then pieced this all together. And so we have Fish's preseason, Seed's preseason, and you got the Cuban preseason. I put it as preseason power rankings because you guys all know it's mine. But you got Fish and Seeds here too. And so Fish's article, this is how he kind of plays everybody out. Colorado, Carolina, Arizona, Pittsburgh, Anaheim, Philly, Toronto, San Jose, followed with Washington and Vancouver, LA, Boston, St. Louis, Tampa, Vegas, New Jersey. Seeds has Arizona as the top dog, Carolina, then Anaheim, Colorado, Philly, Washington, Toronto, San Jose, Boston, LA, Vegas, New Jersey, Pittsburgh, St. Louis, Vancouver, Tampa. The thing I see so far is that pretty much the top 4 teams are contain Arizona, Carolina, Colorado, Anaheim, 5th over here, 3rd over here. But looking at the rosters and everything, totally agree with all those teams. Obviously, looking over at mine, with Arizona up top, to be the best, you got to beat the best. And with their roster, the way it looks, Arizona's the team to beat. Reaper pretty much brought back, outside of missing Jaddy, and he upgraded his left wing, he still brings back an amazing team that plays very well together, already has a season under the belt. It's just the fact of getting Seguin up to par. And from what I've heard, he's been playing with Kid and Reaper. So Tyler should be fitting right in fine. And they're definitely going to be a scary one to watch. Egg obviously had a very solid team starting from the net with Johnny out. And then he adds the pieces that he did. And now you're staring at this amazing roster. I did the same thing. I started off for Wally, Choku, and Trout, add on Hardy, pick up Viz, and that's a pretty solid start. And then you add a Quincy and Bundy on the backside, and now you're staring at a pretty well-rounded team. TT Tommy, I mean, he went a little crazy with the defenseman, but still, I feel with Red, he's got himself a top squad. And then you go Jay Scott and his guys with Burst and having the pieces that he has, and then Tampa's getting a rough notch from over here between Fish and Seed, but I see a roster on paper that is built to win games right away. With Jamie, you got Holdfast and Net. I mean, Mansell just has to put these guys in the right positions at the right time, find their seats, and that roster is very, very deadly. Now, when I did mine, I did put Carolina 8th. Now, they both have Carolina top, and I do agree. Carolina's roster, hands down, is very, very, very good. But from my gathering from playing with Tread, playing with MJ, playing with MG, is availability. Getting all these guys at the same time every single night is very, very hard to do. I know MG's work schedule is very very sporadic. Tread, sometimes has to work late. So it kind of leaves little holes there. And then I know Stoner's playing net, but you still, like, I don't know. I haven't seen Stoner enough in net to just flat out be like, boom. And then outside of that, Tread and Tricks both play amazing at defense, but on the other side, will Scales hold up? I don't know. There's still little spots that it's just hard for me just to crown these guys right up top. Obviously, I always pick that one team that I kind of put down near the bottom, and then by the first week of the season, they're sitting up top, and I'm eating crow. And I think that's what I just did for Carolina. I'm going to be eating some crow, I feel, but I definitely agree. I don't disagree with them being number 2. Just as when I did my rankings prior to their articles, I had Carolina 8th, and I didn't want to switch it. Their articles definitely made me switch my thinking of how that roster is made, but I just know these guys, and just when they're all together, yes, they're probably one of the best teams out here, top 3, absolutely, without a doubt. But can they be consistently on the ice together for 5 straight weeks? No. Are they unbeatable? I don't think there's a team out there that's not beatable. I think this year is going to be not a mediocre year for everyone, but there's like everyone's going to be competing there. I don't see a team that's just going to be walking away outside of Arizona. I think that's the closest we're going to see is Arizona with Tree and net, and then Chow on defense with at ease. And then you got Stud, Muff, and Fish. And then you sprinkle in Barnacle and 5. That's a solid team, and I definitely think they can run away with it. But, again, we got games to play. You got Boston here with Pete, just made some moves. Polar's got himself a nice team. I know I kind of got him low, but, I mean, at this point it's so tough prior. But I'm just going off what the draft and what I feel about their rosters. San Jose would probably be a lot higher if Breezy was a defenseman, and if Ransom had come back and he got himself another center to go with Benner. I know Benner's great at center, but we'll see how that plays out. True drafted, I feel some guys that he knows and he's comfortable with, and as a GM, that's what you really want to do your first time is build a little comfort and get yourself situated your first time. And he did that, I think, with some of the guys on his roster, drafted guys that he's played with or knows, some veteran dudes that'll help him out. And then we got Shep in Washington, which, I mean, when you got Can't See Me and you got the offensive firepower that you have, but you still need defense, and I'm not too high on their defensemen, so we'll see if they can step up a little bit, or if the offense can alleviate some of the stress on the defensemen. But Kamikaze can carry him, but how far depends on his defense and how the team plays defensively, and we'll see how that happens on the ice. Sports Geek, again, like I said prior in the draft there, the breakdown, he was kind of just, willy-nilly without having True and Red, I think, and now it's his first venture out, and the roster doesn't look as solid without those 2 guys on there. Not saying that he doesn't have a solid roster, but we got some time to see what's up. And El Rook, pretty much the Knowles pick at the 3rd overall was kind of a take back for me with all the guys that were still out there, and his roster pretty much coming back identical to what he had, -5 players. So it's kind of hard to want to move him up, seeing what they did last year. But hey, those are all veteran dudes that he has on his team. And then he trades away Ajax and Seeds for Nemesis and Monaco right now. I don't know what his defense is going to look like, but we'll see. And this was kind of tough, but not too tough. Vegas down at the bottom. They had Rich with an early pick, but outside of that, Red is putting a lot of pressure on Plisk and Net, and we'll have to see how the defensemen there play out, and how the team gets themselves together. Obviously, there can be some moves later. They already made one, trading a rookie they reached for another rookie to see how that works out. So that's where we're at right now going into week 1, everybody. Some stuff for you guys to talk about. Obviously, if anyone wants to give their piece, be my guest. Obviously, I don't shy away from you guys when you got stuff to say, and I love when you guys comment back because it lets me know that you're watching and you're listening, and And hopefully you guys next week will have some questions and stuff and some stuff for me to answer, or at least talk about on the show. And good luck to everyone. Season 27 is about to start. And I hopefully get the chance to talk a little bit about some of these teams that I ranked down low, and maybe some of these rookies that showed up during the showcase show up week 1, and we'll be talking about them too. So I just want to thank everyone for tuning in tonight. I'm excited. I'm going to be doing the show on Sundays. It's a better night for me. Saturdays are a little more hectic due to my family schedule, and then actually trying to give the wife a little bit of time before she kicks me out and divorces me for playing so much hockey and spending time with you guys doing the show. So I appreciate you guys listening. Hopefully everyone has a great week 1, and I will see everyone next week. And as always, be kind to each other on and off the ice. Virtual Hockey Player Live.